we're here already, the 6th and final week of archery season here in PA, simultaneously the best and worst week. The best because it leads into the peak of the rut, and the worst because at the end of this week, the season ends. I started my week in the same stand we had the encounter with that big 8-point a couple of weeks back, and I was pretty encouraged to see deer movement early, still with more than 2 hours of daylight left. When this doe started taking off like this, I thought maybe there was a chance there was a buck somewhere behind her, and it turns out there actually was. Unfortunately, I don't think the buck that I saw could have been a bigger disappointment. When this little buck re-emerged, I figured the doe probably rejected him, and I thought I might try to have a little bit of fun with him, since he seemed to be the only deer in the area and it probably couldn't hurt. So I decided to hit him with a estrus bleed just to see if it would get his attention, but he seemed to ignore it. That is until about 2 minutes later when he was walking directly at me, so not only do I get to enjoy getting some close-up footage of this guy, but I did gain a little confidence in my calling. Not that I would have to do an incredible job of calling to get this guy to come my way, but I'll take what I can get. Unfortunately, that would be the only real highlight of the hunt, and a couple of turkeys came through to kind of close out the evening. But that was at least an encouraging sit and one of the better starts to a week I've had, so I'm still in high spirits going forward. The morning of November 12th brought a good bit of snow, and I was hoping that would encourage some deer activity, but unfortunately, this day and the next one, really there were no deer to be found. So, as I've done throughout the season, I returned to the field where we missed the doe back in week 2, as we've seen a good bit of deer activity here, and I will continue to say it, when there's does out here, eventually we're going to have bucks hitting the field to check them out. And not long after these first deer hit the field, we got to experience one of the coolest encounters of the entire season, really. And of course, as always, I know I sound like a broken record, but be sure to check out Meat Hunters here on YouTube. There's a link in the description as well as a clickable link on screen at the end of the video. My videos always go up 2 days earlier there than on this channel, and there's also the other guys at Meat Hunters that are making some pretty good content as well, so be sure to check that out. This little buck was standing over here for a long time, and I couldn't figure out exactly what he was interested in. He was the only deer to have gone over there, but then I realized he was on the path that I walked to my stand. Now, there's not a really good way to get to this stand without crossing potential deer paths, but usually they don't end up out in front of me where this guy is. So, luckily he was distracted because I think he was kind of onto me, but he did have other things on his mind and never really got too alert as far as I could tell. Despite all the deer activity, he was the biggest buck to be on the field this evening, but he was there for an hour and a half, and we got a lot of cool footage, some really cool encounters. It's definitely something that I won't be forgetting.
Man, it's about dark enough now. I don't think you can see anything, but I'll never get tired of seeing stuff like that, just watching rut activity, even if it is just yearling bucks. I mean, we had them right here, like 5 or 6 yards away fighting. That spike was underneath me for a little while, just watching that young buck chase the does around. That was really cool. So we still got 2 more days. It was encouraging at least to see rut activity, you know, get the spirits up a little bit, and we'll see if we can do something with those last couple of days here in archery season.
An uneventful Friday hunt led us into the final day of our 2019 archery season, which started pretty quickly with deer moving towards the stand before 3 o'clock. They would actually work behind me and downwind. Now, fortunately, it didn't seem to alert them too badly, but just as I was getting the camera back on them when they went behind the tree, this deer made a sound which I've never heard, so I'm curious actually what you guys think about this. I don't know if that was a cough or what kind of sound that was. It was something I've certainly never heard before, and it caught me off guard as I was sitting there in the stand, but you can see this deer kind of gets nervous. She catches the wind a little bit. She is directly downwind, so there's not a whole lot I can do about that. But it didn't seem to bother them too badly because all of them actually bedded behind the stand. This just happens to be the only one I can get on film as they are directly behind me. But eventually the deer parade would start, and a lot of deer started coming into view. realized there was a buck trailing one of the does that just came up over the hill, and with the camera being to my left and it being hard to film, I just got it zoomed out and moved over to where I might have a shot. As I'm looking at it, I realize it is in fact a half rack, and I'm not really sure that I want to take the deer, so I make a decision. If he gives me a broadside shot at 20 yards where the does went, I'll take it. If not, I'm going to let him walk. He decided to quarter away, and I didn't want to take that shot, especially when I wasn't fully committed to taking the deer. I decided to let him go, but watching him in the field, he was a very nice buck, and had he had both antlers, you can bet I would have been trying to stop him and taking that shot, but with rifle season still to come, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Watching the light fade with this buck in the field after he had given me at least a bit of a shot opportunity was kind of difficult, but as I said, I wasn't fully committed to taking him. I really would love to see him survive another year because he could turn into something really, really nice. And that would be how my 2019 archery season would end. A last chance at a buck and coming very, very close to pulling the trigger, but watching the light fade as this guy was out there feeding was, I guess, a fitting way for it to end.
Was close. I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted to take that buck. I mean, had he followed the same path as the does, he'd have been broadside at 20 yards, and I'd have gone for that, but when he sort of turned away and started moving a little more quickly, I don't know. I wasn't 100% committed to taking him, so I just let him walk, but we'll see if I regret that decision in a couple of weeks. It's just one of those tough hunt decisions, you know. I wanted to, on rifle season still, it's a special time of year every year. It's almost, you know, like Christmas, the way you look forward to it. And he wasn't exactly what I wanted, so I'd love to see him survive another year. He'll be something real special, I think. He looked good, so it's time to climb down out of here. And rifle season starts in 2 weeks, so we'll be back out there for that. Until then, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Now, I thought it was actually worth talking about this for a moment because even as I was watching the footage, it seemed like I had this buck broadside for a long time with a shot opportunity, but it's worth pointing out that the camera is way to my left, so that branch on the right actually blocks a good bit of this shot, and I can't really shoot until he gets to this tree right here. Now, that branch is great for cover. It gives me an opportunity to potentially draw without being seen, but it maybe did stop me here, as right when he gets to that tree, he quarters away, and like I said, when I wasn't fully committed to taking him, I decided I wasn't going to try it. So despite not getting a buck on film with a bow this year, self-filming has become one of my favorite things to do, and I did not see that coming. It's just been amazing the amount of really cool encounters we got to have, and we still have a chance to get a buck on film with a gun, and for that I'm very excited. Actually, as I'm editing this, the opener is tomorrow, so hopefully something can happen there. And I thought we'd just relive a couple of the cooler encounters here quickly. It was a really fun season, and I hope we can get more footage like this in rifle season and going forward into the future seasons. It has been an absolute blast, and I really want to thank you guys for coming along on this adventure. I know a lot of you guys have seen every one of these, and it's been just an absolute blast. I don't think I can describe it in any better way. So again, thank you guys for coming along. Thank you guys for all the support with these videos. It's been truly amazing, and I guess I'll hopefully see you next week with some of rifle season. I won't be able to have all of the first week of rifle season in, but I am going to try to get a video out on that. So until then, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week.